Alright, before we get started, I have one question. What's the worst movie ever made?
Freddy's dead.
That is correct.
Freddy's dead.
So Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare is the supposedly last installment of the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise that came out in 1991. It was directed by Rachel Talalay, a woman who has been with this franchise since the beginning. She worked on the very first 4 movies, and now she finally took this project on, and she is going to direct the last one. Does she do a good job? No. This movie stars nobody, and Roseanne and Tom Arnold. Oh, and Johnny Depp, because he said he wanted to do Rachel Talalay a favor. I guess he liked her. Whatever. I walked into this movie expecting to hate its guts. This is, if you've been following this franchise review series, you know that I said that I grew up watching these movies maybe twice. I've seen all these movies like twice. Maybe the first one 4 or 5 times. But I did not grow up with this series at all, and I've been hearing non-stop about how this movie is the worst movie ever made. It's horrible. Like, if you like it, it should be, like, kept in the closet. Like, don't tell anybody that you like this movie, or you will be, like, stoned. And I'm here to tell you, I don't know what, if it was, like, the pizza I was eating, the pop I was drinking, like, the mood I'm in, something made me like this movie way better than Part 5. This movie has a lot of problems. Yes, it's terrible. It's not even a horror movie. Don't even call it that. It's not. Because there's not one moment in this movie where you're like, okay, this is scary. Like, that would suck. No, this movie is just fucking terrible. But I had so much more enjoyment watching this movie than Part 5. And the story, despite how incoherent it is in some moments, has more... it's way more coherent than Part 5. Hands down. So before I go over all the things that are just stupid about this movie, all the terribleness, let's just go over my little bits of positives about this movie. First off, I was like, up to this point, I was just sick. Alright, I was getting sick of seeing lazy resurrections. It was pissing me off. And this one doesn't do it at all. It's just like, Freddy's here. He was resurrected in between movies. He's here. Which I would much rather have that than, oh, a cat pissed on him this time and now he's back. I don't like the execution, but towards the end, but I like this little backstory lore of like how Freddy got his powers and what's been actually bringing him back, because it actually explains, if you think about it, that's what's really been bringing him back all these movies, is that power he has. These little snake demons in him. Which, I know, they look like little fucking sock puppets at the end, just in the screen. But whatever, we'll get into that. And I also like the line that Freddy gives where he's like, every town has an Elm Street. Meaning now that he can just like kill anybody in any state, any town that has Elm Street. Like, he's no longer, since the 3rd movie, he's no longer after the, like, kids from the parents who tortured him. Like, that's done. He's just killing the kill now. He's just like anybody else. Freddy, Michael, Jason, he's just killing people. Fuck it. And the main cast in this movie, I mean, I know the acting all across the board, except for the one doctor towards the end, or he's sprinkled throughout the movie. There's like the one doctor, I don't know his name, but he's decent. Everybody else is complete shit. But these characters are a little bit better than the ones in Part 5. Their acting was abysmal, and their characters were just non-existent. You just had the one character who didn't believe her friend, and the other character who read comic books. They were just bland pieces of shits, and the girl who had like the model mom who wanted her to be a model. Oh, I didn't give a fuck. But these characters were somewhat entertaining compared to those people. And that's it, really. If I come up with anything else, I'll let you know. But let's get into the negatives, shall we? This movie opens up with a quote from Nightmare on Elm Street 3. It says, "Welcome to prime time, bitch." Basically just saying, hey, remember this movie over here that was way awesome? Well, that's not what you're gonna get here. It's like, it's almost blasphemy that it's mentioning a better film. This movie opens up with a dream sequence. Better than Part 5. Everything's better than Part 5. Better than Part 5, but it's a fucking parody of Wizard of Oz. We have Freddy Krueger on a broomstick saying, I'm gonna get you, my little pretty, and your little soul, too. This movie also explains that all the children in Springwood, Ohio, which is already an error right there, Springwood was in California. If you watch the first movie, there's palm trees everywhere. It's in California. So when did Freddy just start killing people in Springwood, Ohio? When did that happen? Because as far as I'm concerned, the first 5 movies were in California. Now it's like, oh, no. It was Springwood, Ohio the whole time that he was killing people. No, it wasn't. Back to those positives. They bring back the Nancy house, but it's irrelevant. There's no point. I don't know why they keep bringing it back. But it's nice to see a familiar place, I guess. Like I said in the other movie reviews, like, I guess Nancy's house is like a recurring character. They just keep bringing it back. I don't know why. It makes no sense. Another negative is, like, I know you're just ignoring the resurrection, but why are you ignoring what happened to the characters in part 5? Like, where's Lisa? Is she dead? Like, it doesn't explain shit, so I just want to know what happened to them. But then again, I did some research. There was this movie script changed before it was made. The original script, and there was a script written by Peter Jackson. If you don't know Peter Jackson, made Lord of the Rings. Peter Jackson made a script for this movie. It's crazy to think about. But the original script had something to do with, Lisa Wilcox. She's back, and, Freddy kills her off at the beginning of this movie. And then her son, who wasn't even born yet in part 5, was going to be like the main protagonist in this movie. That was the original script, but they canned it. Rachel Talalay says she hated it. But she read this script and she said, that's good, let's go with it. And yeah, this movie just had abysmal acting too. Like, terrible. Like, I didn't even know what the fuck's going on. Like, is it supposed to be comedic, or am I supposed to be like, oh wow, this is interesting, a guy falling down a hill for 30 seconds, just falling down a hill, and he makes that, just fall down the hill, whoa. It's so stupid. Like, the guy does not know how to act when he's falling down a hill. It's just fucking ridiculous. Like, people did stunt work for this movie. They got hurt just to make this fucking movie. Not worth it. I mean, Tanya, whatever the fuck her name is, Tracy, the girl who had the abusive, like, molested father thing, she actually got punched in the face by Robert Englund in this movie. She had to go to the hospital and get stitches, apparently. So she has a scar that forever says, hey, remember that one terrible movie you made? Yeah, it's gonna be right on your face from now on, throughout your whole life. And that actress who was playing a woman who was molested by her father, after this movie came out, she started having, like, repressed dreams about how she was actually molested in real life. That's fucked up. To find out because of a movie you made, oh yeah, I was molested as a kid, now that I think about it. That's just terrible. And she was playing a woman who was molested, which I guess made it easier for her to act in those scenes. Now, the story of this movie is like, okay, Freddy needs to transport a guy named John Doe, because we don't know who the fuck he is. He doesn't know who he is. He has amnesia, but he's the last remaining kid from Springwood, Ohio. And Freddy is transporting him to other place, wherever the fuck, through a dream sequence. He's driving him in this dream on a bus, and he's laughing his ass off. Why are you laughing? It's not that funny. Freddy is laughing nonstop in this movie because he is officially a joke in this movie. 100%. Not a single moment where you're like, oh wow, he actually seems quite intimidating. No. And his makeup is the worst by far. It looks like it's rubber or something in some parts. It just looks terrible. God damn, just fucking stay consistent. Even his voice changes, just like in part 3, except it's more noticeable in this one. Sometimes his voice changes, like it's like robotic, or like they add extra echo to his voice. They edit his voice. I know that. That's not how Robert Englund sounds. But it's not intimidating. But anyways, he's driving John Doe in this dream, and then he punches him out of the dream into the real world. And now just to get him to his daughter? Why do you need him to get him to your... Why? Why do you need him? How's he going to get you to your daughter? Oh, but he does. Coincidence. He coincidentally lands himself at this youth shelter where Freddy Krueger's daughter works. Coincidence. And Freddy Krueger's daughter's having these dreams where she's like running around and she has little pigtails. And then she has this father figure where the camera is purposely cutting off the head to where you can't, like, it's framing his head out. So it's like, I wonder who they're hiding. Freddy, that's who they're hiding. Who else could it fucking be? And even though it's so obvious, they still try to plant this idea in your head that maybe that little girl in pigtails was John Doe and that he's the son of Freddy. No. If you thought that, you're an idiot. This movie has a lot of random things just thrown in there that make no fucking sense. Just things for visuals, like when, like, the screen shatters, it's like, who's that for? Us? Because it wasn't necessary. And then you just got dreams within dreams, where John Doe has a dream where he sees himself in a fucking, like, padded room, and then himself says to himself, like, free me, I'm your fucking memories.
Free me, you idiot, I'm your fucking memory! Ah!
And that goes nowhere. He never frees his memories. He never does. So what was that for? And then we find out the story behind Freddy. We get a little bit added stuff that we didn't know before. Because the original story was Freddy Krueger was a child killer. Maybe molester. But just a killer. Just a single man killing people. But now, he's a man who's married with a daughter. And he's killing kids on the side. And then the wife finds out. And he kills the wife. Tells the daughter, shh. But then she rats him out. And that's how he gets busted for all his crimes. And then, you know, the whole court thing, and then he gets released, and then the parents kill him. That shit. But then we also get to see Alice Cooper playing Freddy Krueger's stepdad. And he's an abusive stepdad. So it was weird seeing Alice Cooper in this movie. Maybe that's a positive to you if you like Alice Cooper. I just thought it was another familiar face being a familiar face just to be a familiar face. And then this movie, it actually continues the lore of part 3 about how Freddy Krueger is the son of 100 rapists, and you know, because it shows Freddy Krueger because somehow the daughter enters Freddy's mind and Freddy's memories, and she's seen all this shit. I don't know how she did it. Just bear with me. But she's seen all his memories, and she gets to see Freddy as a kid, and he's hammering a hamster, which I guess now that I think about it, I think Rob Zombie's Halloween kind of ripped that off, don't you think? I mean, that was just a rip-off right there. But now we know that, you know, he was bullied by kids, and he was a psycho, killing gerbils, and then hurting himself. He became like a masochist. So we get to know a little bit more about Freddy. That could be a positive or a negative. I like it. I mean, it doesn't do too much to the story. It doesn't really fuck with it. I could accept that as canon to the story behind the first movie. Like, I can say, yeah, all that stuff did happen, and it led to the first movie, without it ruining the first movie. Like, I can accept this canon. But I don't give a shit about the daughter thing. I could do without that. But anyways, so what else happens? Okay, well, John Doe arrives at this youth shelter, coincidentally, where Freddy's daughter is working. And she, to help him regain his memories, which she never does, takes him to the town of Springwood. And it's empty because all the kids are dead and all the parents are just fucking nuts. We got a guy teaching class to nobody, and he's just talking, and he reveals that there was a kid taken away by Freddy. So that was another motivating factor for Freddy to kill kids. But he was already killing kids before his daughter was taken. So that doesn't make sense as like something that made him want to kill kids. Like, oh, if I can't have my kid, you can't have yours. He was already murdering children. Now let's talk about the kills in this movie. Okay, we got like, what, 3? 1, 2, 3? Sure, 3. That's about average. The first movie had 3. The first kill in this movie doesn't come until like 39 minutes in. And it's Carlos. And the actor who played Carlos, again, bad actor. He was supposed to be John Doe in this movie. He tried out, he was going to be John Doe, but he decided not to. Because I guess being a deaf person appealed to him more. But his death was just played out so long. It's like, just fucking kill him, Freddy. It's just like messing with him. He's like behind him dancing because he took his earpiece out. So now Carlos is deaf and he's just breaking the fourth wall. Freddy breaks the fourth wall like 2-3 times in this movie. Like, shh, looking at the camera and shit. It's just annoying. Like, it's disrespectful to the character of Freddy in the first 4 movies where he was actually somewhat scary. This is just bullshit. I don't know what the fuck they were thinking. And then when Carlos' head explodes, there's like no blood. It's like, did they run out of blood that day? What was the reason behind that? That was irritating. I want to see gore, alright? There's supposed to be blood. Makes no sense. Jesus. This movie also does the most weird fucking thing I've ever seen in any movie ever. Where they market a movie to have 10 minutes in 3D. The last 10 minutes of this movie are in 3D, and out of fucking nowhere, the main actress, whatever her fucking face is, I forget it already. Just watched it. It's already gone. But she, just like all of a sudden, she puts on these glasses, and they like dissolve into her face. And then later on, the glasses reappear on her face to say, oh, the 3D aspect's done now. What was it for? Money? Marketing? Because this movie had like a $5 million budget, and it made like over 35. So this movie did pretty well, and I'm sure a lot of people were pissed. I know I'm harping on this movie pretty bad, like I'm saying it's shit. But I want to reiterate my point earlier. I still enjoyed this movie more than Part 5. Part 5 sucks dick. But yeah, this movie's no better either. I mean, we got cartoon sound effects, Scooby-Doo sound effects, like literally Hanna-Barbera Scooby-Doo sound effects, where when Scooby-Doo's like starts running, their legs are like spinning, like, and they're stationary, you know, whatever. I can't explain it, but trust me. There's Scooby-Doo sound effects in this movie, and it's just, why? Why? Breckenmeyer in this movie, this was his start? Jesus. This movie also added something really weird. It was like, not only is Freddy collecting souls when he kills people, but he's also erasing the memory of these people from everybody. So, like, when these people die, they no longer existed to anybody. Why? It's weird. Like, why? How does that benefit Freddy? Like, what's that for? It doesn't do anything. It's just weird. Like, the other movies didn't do that. And now he's just like, oh, John Boy didn't exist no more because I killed him. Partially correct, but why is everybody not remembering the person who they were talking to before? Makes no sense. I thought it was pretty corny too when Freddy was acknowledging all these deaths that have happened before. He's like, they tried to bury me. And he's chopping his fingers off. It's ripping off a cool moment in the first movie with the fingers getting chopped off and green blood squirting out because they just stopped being creative in this movie. But he's like, they tried burning me and then they tried burying me, and then he flips off the camera. My favorite one! They tried using holy water. It never worked because the snake demons keep bringing me back. It's just so corny. And just the writing in this movie, in some parts, it feels like a 6-year-old wrote it. The snake demons are talking to Freddy. They're like, we know what you want. You want power. And then Robert Englund's like, I want it all. It's so corny.
Freddy.
We know what you want.
I want it all!
Of course you do.
Then open up.
And you shall be
Forever!
Speaking of being lazy, this movie was like, how are we gonna kill Freddy this time? I have an idea. If we can grab him from the dream world and bring him into the real world. Yeah, that's been done before, dumbasses. In part 1, a much better film. They did the same thing in this movie, except instead of burning him in the real world, they stick a stick of dynamite in him, and the woman, his daughter, is just throwing ninja stars constantly in a very poorly edited, choppy shit. It's like, it's terrible. I've noticed a lot of scenes, they just kind of like end abruptly, like something will happen, and it's just like something else is automatically happening in a different day. It's like, this movie had weird editing in it. And none of the deaths had really that good, like, special effects. Like, even Carlos's head exploding. Like I said, no blood. The Breckenmeyer kid, he gets in a TV and there's just blood spewing out of the TV. Very lame. Does anybody else die? I think 2 people die in this movie. Because it's just terrible. Oh yeah, the Looney Tunes one. We have Wile E. Coyote shit going on where Freddy Krueger lays down this bed of nails like Wile E. Coyote. It's just so fucking pathetic. What the? Seriously. There wasn't a single producer on set looking at this going like, what the fuck are we doing? Like, they took this shit serious. Like, they thought this was awesome. And even when this movie was over, they had like this fake funeral for Freddy. Yeah. I mean, it makes sense because you really did butcher and murder the character of Freddy. You ruined it. And holy shit, this youth shelter has a whole arsenal of weapons in like the basement. Baseball bats with nails in it, all kinds of ninja stars and knives. Like, this is the shit they're confiscating from the kids that go there? And it's still down there? Seriously. One quick good thing that I liked how they did like a montage. It was like Final Destination 5 in the credits, where they had like a little throwback montage of everything that's happened in the previous films. I thought that was cool. It was like, hey, remember all these other good moments to kind of like wash this bad taste out of your mouth? That's what this one did. Except for part 5. Like I said, fuck that movie. But anyways, I feel like I'm just rambling on. This movie, yeah, it was pretty bad. Pretty terrible. But it had some fun moments. I won't say it's worse than part 5. I'm like juggling my thoughts right now. I'm like, is this better than part 2? Like, no, it's not. But seriously, I'm not a fan of this franchise at all. I barely visited it as a kid. And I don't understand the love behind it. But hey, to each their own. I'm a Jason guy, Chucky guy. But this movie has some redeeming moments. It actually made me laugh a couple of times, so I'll give it that. So therefore, when it comes to Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare, quote unquote, I would say that, yeah, this movie is it's wasted time. No one needs to sit through this. No one needs to subject themselves to terrible acting and bad purple lightning CGI that makes no sense. It's not needed. All this bad storytelling and story direction, it's just weird and stupid. All kinds of added shit. snake worms flying at the screen, 3D. That's like totally dated. There's no 3D glasses for this movie. There's not a 3D print for it. It's just terrible. So don't ever watch it. Like 2 people die in it. And it's not even good. But it's still better than part 5. I'll keep saying that. The Mr. Hat Award, I guess we'll go to Carlos, since he's the one death I remember. He gets his head exploded, and there's no blood whatsoever, but it's somewhat interesting. Nice hearing from you, Carlos. And the Mr. Twig Award will go to Breckenmeyer, who falls into a hole, and then ends up bleeding out of TV. I'm not sure what happened to him. But yeah, it was pretty fucking corny with the Scooby-Doo sound effects, and yeah, fuck this death. And those are my thoughts on Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare. Except there's a new one coming up, and that'll be next week. What are your thoughts on this horrible movie? Do you like it better than part 5 like me? Or am I just in the minority here? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, remember to hit that like button to help support this video and say that you enjoyed it and my awesome talent of talking about movies that I have no interest in ever revisiting. And you can subscribe by clicking on my beautiful cartoon face in 5 seconds to see more awesome fantastical content. And until next time, auf Wiedersehen.